Retrospect encourages us to reflect on our stories, our histories, and our past experiences as we uncover the wisdom that shapes our future possibilities.
Okay, so here's what's happening. It's the middle of the night because nothing good ever happens in the middle of the night. I'm fast asleep and the text comes in. SWAT call out, 3 a.m., East Palo Alto. Now, there's no time to wake up. You just move. All I'm thinking is, why can't this happen at a reasonable hour? And this is why people love watching cop shows. It's so dramatic. But for us, it's just another day at work. So I splash cold water on my face, I grab coffee, I throw sweatpants on, and I drive half asleep to the armory. And yes, it's a job. But instead of packing a briefcase, I'm about to strap an extra 40 pounds of gear onto my body. That's a third of my body weight. And it's me and 20 other men in the locker room, all twice my size, gearing up. Nobody says much because nobody needs to. We know what we're getting into. It's a dangerous situation with dangerous people. SWAT doesn't get called in for anything else. So we stop at the perimeter of the target house, and it is silence, total stillness. And then the call, permission to launch. The world erupts, floodlights slam on, the negotiator's voice blares, come out with your hands up. We move fast, find the suspect wedged underneath a bed, weapon beside him. We pull him out, secure the scene, and we back out. When it works, it's seamless. Every move in sync. And that's the moment you know you belong, that you've measured up. I knew. I belonged. I measured up. But it was also in that moment that something else flashed into my consciousness. I was 5 months pregnant, and I'd just gone on a SWAT raid. 40 pounds of gear, 10 pounds of baby, shield over my stomach, flashbang in hand, and that didn't stop me because I didn't want it to. So that's where I want to start, because people always ask me why I push so hard. Well, I became a cop at 22 years old, one of the few women on my force. As a kid, I wanted to be an Olympic gymnast. As a teen, I thought I'd be an ER doctor. But no, I became a cop. And I loved the work. Not so much the enforcement side, but the human side, just getting to be helpful. But I wanted to push myself further. And that's where SWAT came in. It was a pinnacle. It demanded everything of you. And making it to SWAT for a while, it made me feel unstoppable. Most of the guys, they treated me like one of their own. They wanted me to succeed. They became my brothers, except my sergeant. It wasn't until he started singling me out that unstoppable feeling started to crack. At first, it was little things, you don't need to wear men's basketball shorts, you look better in tights, or your butt looks good in those, or you should do more squats, it'll make your butt look bigger. I told myself it was harmless, just a part of the culture, right? I didn't want to be that person, that girl who complains. So I kept my head down and I focused on the work. And then I found out I was pregnant. At first, I panicked. I didn't want to have to choose between my career and my child. So I didn't. I chose both. I trained until I was 7 months pregnant, still running, still doing push-ups, still beating half the team on the physical fitness tests. They started calling my unborn son the new guy. Yeah, said he'd been on more raids than the rookies. Yeah, we laughed about it. They didn't baby me. They treated me like one of their own. But my sergeant didn't stop. The comments got worse, more vulgar in front of other team members and even after my son was born. I finally decided to report it, and nothing happened. A year passed, and then came time for our annual overnight training at a military base. One night, we'd just gotten back from a long run. I got my dinner plate, and I sat down at the table, and my sergeant came and sat next to me. He made another comment, something disgusting. I don't remember the words, I just remember the tone. I gave him a light jab to the chest, the kind of knock it off gesture that we all used. And he stood up so fast, his chair flipped. Suddenly, I was on the floor. My cheek pressed against the tile, and I remember thinking, the floor's so cold, before I knew what was happening. He was on top of me, holding me down. His hands went places they shouldn't have. He didn't stop, and I couldn't move. I had trained for years to fight back, but I couldn't. And in that moment, all I could think was that I thought I was stronger than this. When he finally let go, I got up, I walked to my room, and I cried. Then I confronted him. He laughed, brushed it off. It was reported again, and again, nothing happened. No interview, no follow-up, nothing. I was in shock until a year later, when an unrelated corruption investigation uncovered my complaint. Suddenly, it seemed they wanted to use my story not to protect me, but to get to him. And I didn't want it to happen that way. Even after all that, as they continued the investigation, they left us on the same team together. When it came time for the overnight training at the military base again, I couldn't do it. I took a leave of absence, I filed a lawsuit, and I resigned from SWAT. When my commander got my resignation letter, he came to my desk immediately and told me that in that moment, he was walking into the sheriff's office and telling the sheriff that if something wasn't done, the entire SWAT team was going to resign. Well, 4 hours later, my sergeant was on leave. It should have felt like justice, but it didn't. I started therapy, medication for PTSD, anxiety, depression. My team, they called me constantly. They checked in. They made sure I was okay. They're the reason I made it through. They were my brothers, my family. And when things got really dark, they kept showing up for me. I'd spent my whole career being stoic, compartmentalizing everything. No one ever teaches you that vulnerability is strength. You can't show up for others if you can't show up for yourself. And that's what my SWAT brothers taught me. If you'd asked me then what defined me, I would have told you my son and SWAT. Letting go of one of those nearly broke me. But what gave me hope was that when I needed help most, it was my team, my brothers, who showed up. Now I work in counterterrorism, and I'm pursuing a doctorate in organizational change and leadership. I'm trying to understand why this happens and what we can do to change it. In study after study, up to 100% of women in law enforcement report experiencing sexual harassment. But there's not much research on what's being done about it. Law enforcement wasn't built for women. It was built for men. That's the culture. But culture is just a system of shared beliefs. And systems can change. Now, I don't have the full solution yet, but I've learned this. There are good people in law enforcement. They're the ones who helped me survive the worst moments of my life. So here's what I try to live by now. For every person who disrespects you or tries to take away your dignity, there are 20 others who will lift you back up. Find your allies and let them in. Sometimes the smallest act of care can save a life. It saved mine. Thank you.